There are those who run not from, but toward danger in order to see if there are folks that need help. We call those folks heroes. When it comes to storm chasing, typically it's no different. These scientists and researchers run towards the danger to capture the data that may save lives someday. In Oklahoma, those disasters are often tornadoes, but sometimes people refer to them as twisters. I'm Ronald Young Jr., and I'm leaving the theater. All right, this is Ronald, and I am leaving the theater after seeing Twisters. Twisters, written by Joseph Kosinski, directed by Lee Isaac Chung, starring Daisy Edgar-Jones, Glen Powell, Anthony Ramos, Brandon Perea, Maura Tierney, Harry Haddon-Paton, Sasha Lane, Paul Scheer, and James Paxton. As usual, for a complete cast listing, you can go to the link in our show notes. I am not here alone. I am here with
Pamela Perez.
Pamela Perez. Welcome back to the show.
It's been a hot minute.
Do you have a contract where you do a lot of Anthony Ramos movies?
I was thinking that when this movie started, I was like, this is like a culmination of all the movies we've ever seen cast-wise coming together in one movie.
It really is. We saw, I was thinking of Transformers, Rise of the Beast. Ghostbusters. Who's in that one? That's right.
Yes, right?
Oh, that's true. Okay, yeah. So it's all in a blender or in a twister, as you would
twister.
say. Yes.
Multiple twisters.
Okay. So this is a sequel, and I'm using in air quotes, to the singular Twister, which came out in 1996/7. One of those 2 years, I'm probably correct. You can Google that on me. And this is supposedly a sequel. It's really more of a spiritual sequel than anything else. There is little to no connection to the original movie, barring like one thing. And it's more of an Easter egg than anything else. It's not exactly a reboot either, because I don't want them to make another one of these. They would be Anyway, the point is there are storm chasers in this movie. They are chasing these storms, and they are attempting to get their piece of science equipment into the tornado in order to be able to neutralize a tornado. If the plot sounds familiar, it's also the plot of Singular Twister from 1996/7. Pamela Perez, what did you think of this movie?
I feel like you know me well enough to know how I feel about this movie, and it's that I liked it. But I was afraid in the beginning that it was going to be like your mom giving you her 80s wedding dress and being like, use it for your wedding, and then you just cut it up and like put it back together in this monstrous way. But it got better throughout the movie. I felt it was exciting. It was playful. I was enthralled at certain parts of it. I liked it.
This movie is fine. It is perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. It is, in the beginning, it is a shot-for-shot remake of the original. I mean, scene for scene, beat for beat almost. There's a scene where a truck swerves onto a road and nearly hits another truck in the exact same way it happens in Twister. There are two teams in opposition to each other. It's the ragtag bunch of ragamuffins that all are specifically styled to look like very specific ragamuffins that are very much akin to the first film. Yeah. There is the corporate people versus the people out there. There's the people using using the mind and the wind and dandelions in order to chase storms, just like Bill Paxton did in the first one. They were just like, oh, he just has a nose for it. So does the main character in this movie, whose name I completely forgot.
Madison.
Exactly. So we don't know her name. We don't remember her name because this movie is twisting out of my mind, evaporating per se, out of my mind, even as I sit here looking at you. I will agree with you that the third act is the best act of this movie. It got exciting. But when they were talking all that science talk in the first two-thirds of the movie, I'm like, normally I am here for this, but stop it. Get to the tornadoes. What are we doing?
I did feel like there was more character plot and development going on than the first movie. The first movie was very like tornadoes and will he stay with the new wife or the old wife? And that was about it in my mind.
I absolutely agree with you. There is a bigger attempt at character development in this one,
and
but
complexity.
There's more complexity in this one. I agree. I just think that they spend so much time doing what is essentially the same thing in the first one, which is like we're trying to stop the tornadoes or create some more early warning. And then it becomes a kind of a morality movie where they're just like, well, we have to save the people. And I don't think that there was anything that these storm chasers could do additional that actually saved any of the people that they were attempting to save, I say with air quotes, but they were hammering home like, if we don't save them, no one will. And I'm like, well, I'm fairly certain that them and you in this actual scenario are likely going to die. So that felt to me like that irritated me a bit.
I enjoy living in the movie magic. Like if they're going out there and they're making this like movie magic plate of like a charcuterie board to serve to me, I will indulge in it. Give it to me. That's fine with me. And I'll try not to think about reality or life at all while I'm watching the movie so that I can enjoy the thing that they were attempting to create. So I liked it as far as like a movie that's in front of me. In some moments, it was almost like it could have been a prequel. It was like seeing how Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt might have fallen in love with each other. It was kind of like looking into that a little bit, but then also, a way after sequel.
I feel like if they're going to keep, this was one, I was sitting there for a minute and I remember thinking, is this a sequel or is this a reboot? And I think that my biggest problem with what they're doing with movies these days in this way is that they are taking the original. They're doing what they did with Star Wars, the seventh one, which name I cannot even remember. But the same thing where they take a movie and they just did the same thing they did the first time and said, y'all like this, right? Yeah, all right, go ahead, watch this.
They're like, it's been long enough that like we'll just pander to a new generation.
And then I wonder in that case, then who are you actually giving this to? Is this for, like, this is a summer blockbuster, obviously. It's supposed to be lauded in the theater.
Their hope, though.
What is their hope?
Their hope is just that, like, oh, well, if no one quite knows who it's for, then a lot of people will come. And ultimately, as we've talked about before, it just comes down to them wanting to make a lot of money, which I find frustrating.
I just don't know if that'll happen with this one. Like, I think it's, like, this movie is fine. I think there's other movies you could go see and enjoy and probably have a better time at. Like, there could have been, like, 30 more tornadoes in this movie as far as I'm concerned.
I will say that seeing it in the theater will probably be the most you will like it.
That is much better. That's a much better idea.
Yeah, if you watch it at home, you're going to be like, oh, okay. But if you watch it in the theater, there might be moments where you're, like, engaged in the movie a lot more than a home viewing.
I absolutely agree. I think that if you're going to see this movie, as I've started calling it in my head, Tooster. If you're going to see Tooster, then you should go see this in the theater where it's loud and you'll get a full experience. With all of that being said, what would you rate this movie out of 5 stars, knowing that 3 was watch it again, 4 is love it, 5 is perfect, 1 is trash, 2 is didn't like it, and you can use the decimal points. What would you give this movie, Pamela Perez?
I'd give this one a 3.7.
Excellent. I would give this movie a 2.99.
Okay.
It would be, this is, I think for you, 2.99.
0.01 off?
2.99. And here's why. I think that this movie, I did not exactly like it, but I need to acknowledge that this is a summer film. You should see it in theaters. For everyone else that is normal out there and not like, going hard on movies like me, this probably is a 3-star movie. I think 3.7 is wild, but that's just me being critical of problematic.
All of them. I enjoyed looking at all the people, and I enjoyed them being scared of tornadoes, so.
There was one part too where I thought there was like they were fearless of the tornadoes, and then all of a sudden at some point they flipped and they're like, "Psych, no, we're really afraid of these tornadoes." I was like, "Y'all just literally drove into one, like and lit fireworks. Like, what are you talking about?"
I know. But I do feel like we need to twist out of here.
Oh yeah, what?
We need to twist her out of here.
Are you trying to end the show before?
No, I'm just saying.
Oh, you want to spin out of here?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Here we go. Spin, 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 spin. There she goes. She's spinning around. This is a visual moment, but Pam is spinning in circles right now.
I'm a photographer, I need to remember that I am visual. You people are not here with me.
What do you mean, you people? And with that, Leaving the Theater is a production of Oh It's Big Ron Studios. I am mixing this episode. And if you're wondering, hey, feed's getting a little spotty, what's going on with Ronald? Things aren't going so well. Donate to the Patreon. It helps us stay on schedule. It helps us find engineers if we can get to that level. The more you help us out, the higher level we can get. We appreciate everybody who's already helping out with the Patreon. It's very helpful. If you want to be a part of this, go to patreon.com/leavingthetheater or go to the link in our show notes. Show art from Heather Wilder. Theme music by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. For more information about Twisters or Pamela Perez, check out our show notes. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or Threads at Oh It's Big Ron. That's at OHITSBIGRON. You can find out more about this show and other Oh It's Big Ron Studios shows by following us on Instagram at Oh It's Big Ron Studios and on Twitter at Oh It's Big Ron Stew. That's STEW. Leaving the Theater will be back soon. Thanks for listening.
Twister.
And thanks for being on the show.
Yeah. Fun.
You gotta say thank you. Gosh, you're banned from the show.
I'm trying to give
twist
you visuals.
Twist away.
Twist her away. Let's go.